Oh, Bucks McGee, oh, Bucks McGee, oh, Bucks McGee. What could make a victory Monday sweeter than a win over the New England Patriots? No, no. Let me have it.
I guess
I
for you it
knew.
worked. For you, I guess it worked. I'll go ahead, revel in your moment. You beat Mac Jones and Brady Zappi. Okay, go ahead. I don't know
Hey,
how that really heals the wounds of the Brady dominance, but go ahead, take it.
hey, Bill's still there, so Bill's still there. Bob Kraft's
Yeah,
still there. Two out of three, I'll take it.
yeah, but at this point, Bill may not be there much longer.
That's why we got to beat them now, so I can enjoy them while they still mean something internally.
You just better hope he doesn't sign with another AFC team, and then all of a sudden here comes a run.
Yeah, let's watch. Well, I guess I'm safe in our division. None of them are changing. None of them are changing coach things.
Never know. The Chargers might need somebody down the
Well, yeah,
road.
that's true. That's the last thing I need. I hate the Chargers. Not quite as much as the Patriots, but pretty close. But that's the last thing I need. But with this game, you know what? When we started the season, I knew
Mhm.
this was before AR became made of glass. This was not knowing if Taylor was going to even suit up. I knew if we were going to win any games, they're all going to be ugly. So as far as I'm
Mhm.
concerned, this ugly game, this ugly win, is beautiful.
You got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Yeah, for something that think. Hold on, let me retort. I don't think the NFL really wanted to end the international series on this note. Let's be honest, but hey,
No.
you guys won. Like literally, I was up this morning and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
this should be an entertaining game. And I was like, are you kidding me here? Are you
No.
kidding me?
Sir,
It
sir,
was rough. It was rough. At the end of the day, Colts did what they needed to do. They're going into the bye on a high note. You can't pick who you play. You just got to play them. There are serious issues in New England. The fact that they benched my man Mac Jones on
your man.
basically the last 2 minutes. Well, I say that loosely, but and they bring in Brady Zapp. Zappy is more my man than Mac Jones is. All right. The play calling was hideous. I don't know what's going on in New England, but I think the writing's on the wall, and it's just a matter of time before Bill goes. I think he's just riding this out. Kraft was there and watched this debacle, and is probably at this point saying, "Okay, what do I got to do to get Vrabel?" I think Vrabel is the target. I believe Vrabel will be the man, and it's just a matter of time. So, all I've got for this game was, hey, win's a win. Uncle Rico made some nice throws, missed some throws, but at the end of the day, Taylor gets in the end zone. Difference in the game. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know why Bill hates Bailey Zappi, but he definitely hates that man. I don't know why, because he's definitely not any worse than Mac Jones.
No, he's not. I legit like that game where he brings, where he flip flopped him. But you just might as well just go with Zappy. Mac Jones looks disinterested. I don't think he's happy there. Just move on. Just move on.
Yeah. Well, moving on. Your team actually helped out my team by putting another loss in Tennessee's column, and
You're welcome. You're welcome.
and speaking of help, not only do you have this nice win over Will Levis and the Titans, but the Saints took an L, the Falcons took an L, and of course the Panthers, as they typically do, took an L on Thursday. So all of a
Yeah.
sudden, this season that was starting to look like it was slipping away a bit is now kind of you're back in the mix. You're only what, a half game out?
We're a quality 4-5 team right now. Quality 4-5. Yeah, I think what happened was Bulls kind of simplified the defense. They had a whole defensive meeting this week. I heard, and everyone aired some grievances out, and I think they simplified that defense and they just played. Levitt's, like, to give him credit, that kid stood in there and took hit after hit after hit. I will give him credit. I think the writing is on the wall for Tennessee. Derrick Henry was nowhere near the Derrick Henry that we've known and loved for years. I don't even think he broke 50 yards. And it was rough. It was really rough for him. It's like I felt bad It's like when you see a hero of yours, just like in baseball, just strike out, just doesn't have it, you know. Kind of like Miguel Cabrera, you put him in every once in a while. If he gets a hit, cool. If not, you're like, wow, poor Miggy.
Miguel
That's
Cabrera
kind
at 38.
that's what Henry's looking like right now.
Yeah.
That's weird. So I think his time in Tennessee is over as well. But at the end of the day, Tampa needed the win. Baker played solid. Mike Evans played decently well. He had some drops. Especially a clear touchdown in the end zone. But he's on the march for 1,000 yards. He's at about 737, I think, after today's game. So Baker again played well enough to win. Can't complain. You take the 4 and 5 and you move on. Now we got the Niners coming up.
Oh yeah, a nice doubleheader next week. Nice doubleheader on Fox.
Yeah.
The Saints game, the opposite side of the Saints game, we'll touch on a bit later. But the opposite side of the Falcons game was a comeback in Kyler Murray's return from ACL injury last year. And
Look at
all of a
that.
sudden, Kyler
wants
can
to
play. All of a sudden,
sudden-
Arizona can win.
Kyler must not have downloaded the new Modern Warfare there. The COD. Must not have decided not to play. But no, he came in and they won. Hey, first game back. You got to give him credit. Maybe this will be a new turning point for him. Get a little serious. I think the guy's got talent. It's just, do you want to be a starting NFL quarterback or do you just want the money and run?
Yeah.
Came in, pulled off the victory. Falcons are a better team, than the Cardinals. Nothing you can. So, but hey, give the Cardinals credit. This might have been a shot in the arm. Maybe, this will start to kind of turn the franchise around a bit. But hey, win's a win. You take it. I thank you, Arizona. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Atlanta's now dropped 2 in a row from their first place stint at 4-4. And the Saints look a bit of a mess, and of course Carolina's a continual mess. So I mean, I beat my chest a little bit. Now you get to beat your chest a little bit. How confident do you feel that you can actually take this division now as the season starts to wind down?
I think I'm confident. I think I am. I hang my hat on this defense. I still think this defense is close to an elite defense. The offense is slowly starting to come around. Can't have the drops and such. Baker has been better than advertised. The Saints, I don't know right now. Carr went out with I think it was right shoulder and a concussion. Jameis had a couple nice throws, in watching that game, but then of course the Jameis of old showed up. The non-LASIK Jameis showed up, threw a lot of picks.
Non-LASIK Jameis.
A lot of guys got beat up on the defense as well. Lattimore is a little banged up. So I honestly believe the Saints need to move on because I still think they kind of believe they're the Saints of old. I still think that they believe number 9 is in the locker room and he's not. Those days are over. And it's good to have confidence in your squad, but you guys need to look at themselves and believe what they are, which is mid-tier at best. People were giving them the division just because of their roster. They're decent. They're not great. And as it is, they're over $70 million in salary cap hell. So I think they really need to, deal with what they are and just move on with it. I don't know if Carr's going to be back next week. If you're going with Jameis, you need to simplify that offense because he's just sitting there humming stuff 20, 30 yards over receivers' heads. It's bad. Falcons, I don't know. You had a number 8 pick in the draft, and I don't know if he's even showing up anymore. Why'd you even draft Bijan? Now it's a laugh. Now it's a joke. It's a joke now. So what are you doing? I believe they're probably going to look for a new head coach as well. Let's be real. And for Carolina, there ain't nothing to say. Carolina's just bad.
No, those season tickets are like $300 next year.
I might just go ahead and get some for fun and just drive over there, man. Who knows? They probably give you that, and they throw in some T-shirts. Hey, man, I might be able to get in the locker room.
Yeah. Get autographed selfies with Price and Frank.
Shoot, man, exactly. Sit on the bench and be like, hey, here I am. But no, end of the day, this division is winnable. I believe our defense is the best in the division. The offense does need to clean itself up. But yeah, there's hope. 4-5, and for what is in this division, there's no reason to think we can't.
You know, you know what? There's no hope for, and that is for America when having to watch the Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants play on national television. Why?
The whole we can flex everything now. All of a sudden, why didn't you sit there and say, "Oh man, freaking Danny DeVito's illegitimate nephew who is quarterbacking the Giants, and it's horrible. Just flex the game." You're telling me you couldn't have flexed Detroit and the Chargers? You're telling me you couldn't have flexed that? So America's game was America's trash, is what that was. That was horrible. Like literally, the only reason you watched that game is if you had Dallas Cowboys on your fantasy team and you were just hoping, how many points am I going to put up? That's all. Brandon Cooks showed up. He had over 100 yards. It was a joke. Like I actually feel bad for Giants fans. Like you really had to sit through that. That's just sad. There's nothing. It was just bad. I've got nothing to say. It's bad.
Yeah, and just to help the audience out with how bad these two games have been. The Week 1 game where Dallas won 40-0, and then this week's game on Sunday and in the Americans game slot. Put it together, 89-17. The Dallas outscored the Giants, 89-17.
And I'll give the Giants credit. Like they played hard. Like there's no doubt. Early in that game, the first quarter, you kind of thought, you were like, wait a minute, maybe the Giants can, maybe keep it close. But then all of a sudden the floodgates opened, and at that point it's like, all right, this is over. Can we move, flex to something? Can we move to something? So the Giants they're terrible. Let's just be honest, they're terrible. They're probably going to get a lottery pick. They're going to be a top 10 pick. They have to. There's nothing on that roster that says otherwise. They made Dak look all world, but these are the teams that the Dallas is supposed to beat. You put your foot on the throat, and that's it. They did what they needed to do. I don't think you're getting anything newsworthy out of Dallas. They beat a really bad Giants team. Now it's time to move on.
And you know what the sad part is? As bad as the Giants are this year, they'll still get 2 to 3 primetime games next year because of New York.
Yeah, and
Colts. If the Colts ever did this, and we have a couple times in the past, we would get shunned from primetime next year. Shunned.
Time to let it go, man. Time to let it go. Sorry, man. When Uncle Rico's your starting quarterback, man, you just gotta let it go. If you can get a 4 o'clock from time to time, enjoy it. Just take the 4. The 4 is your prime time.
That's right. Of course, the other side to moving past this disaster of a game is Dallas is now 6-3, which is still a game and a half behind Philly, but the immediate road ahead, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas has the Panthers, awful. Washington, never know what they're going to get, mostly not great. And then Seattle, who's good, but we dial back a week and they got the doors blown off them by Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Now Philly ahead of them on completely other side of the spectrum. They have their Super Bowl rematch against Kansas City next Monday night. They got the Bills, which I know we like to kick around lately, but it's
Sorry.
And they have, our Super Bowl darling at one point early in the season, the San Francisco 49ers. So two very different upcoming roads for both these teams. Could we wind up seeing a flipperoo in the top of the NFC East?
I don't know. In the preseason, I would have said there's a possibility, but if you look at Philly's schedule, okay, Kansas City. Is Kansas City the Kansas City of old?
No, but
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia also doesn't always look like the Philadelphia of old either.
They don't, but whose wide receiving core would you take?
Well, yeah, obviously the Eagles.
Like you know who's going to catch a ball, and you know who isn't going to catch a ball. So it's not necessarily a slam dunk that KC's going to go in there and dominate them. I think I would give Philly the edge in that game. I really would. I don't think Kansas City scares anybody, and I think Philly does have revenge on their mind, and I think Philly can pull out a game better than Kansas City can. If it's 4th and 1, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Let's be realistic. 4th and 1, Philly, they're winning.
Yeah.
The other games,
Push.
exactly. Buffalo, whatever. I don't even care, man. Like that's really. Unless Buffalo lights it up, it's not going to happen. So, I think if the Eagles play their game, they could very well go 2-1. I think they can go 3-0, but I'll say 2-1. Let's say there's a booby trap game in there. Dallas. Here's the thing: Dallas has shown if the teams are really bad, Dallas looks like a world beater. If there's a team that's got a pulse, a heartbeat, and a little bit of talent, they have trouble with them. Washington played a heck of a game today. Yeah, they lost to Seattle, but they played a hell of a game. Those guys can play. They will get up for Dallas. Seattle, Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know which one you're going to get. Yeah. You get shellacked by the Ravens, and then you almost lose to Washington, but you pull it out. So I think Dallas, as long as they have their eye on the prize and play smart, they could go 3-0 the next 3 games. But if they kind of just walk in there like, oh, we know we're going to win, they can get their doors blown off.
So in theory, the 4th game after this stretch, of course, for both teams is against each other.
Mm-hmm.
So could we potentially see a first place on the line for the victor of that match?
Very well could. I think Philly will still have the division lead. I think it might be by a game. I think Philly will have the division lead. But yeah, this very well could tell the tale. Could be the deciding factor in the division for sure.
Yeah. Another division that got a lot of attention this week was the AFC North. We kind of figured not much would change because, Houston obviously had a ridiculous performance last week. But we figure Cincinnati's hot. They'll take care of business. Browns, we've been kicking around Deshaun Watson like a hacky sack all season. So we figured the Ravens would take care of business, especially off of that big win over Seattle last week. And the Steelers somehow are winning games, and Green Bay's not great at all. But as sure as shooting this season in the NFL, both the Ravens and the Bengals come from behind games to their opposition. I think both actually on last minute field goals. So they both fall. Pittsburgh hangs on. They were up by a little bit on Green Bay. Green Bay had a little bit of a comeback. So Pittsburgh managed to hold on. So now you have Browns up, Ravens down, Steelers neutral, and Cincy down. So now everyone's kind of muddled together at 7-3, 6-3, and Cincinnati at 5-4. But obviously, that's a better 5-4 than Houston's 5-4 or Indianapolis's 5-5 or the kind of rest of the AFC wildcard picture. So based off what we saw this week Sunday, how do you think that kind of shapes up for the rest of the season in the AFC North?
Oh, it's going to be fun. First, much respect to CJ and the Texans. They handled business, man. That kid is unflappable. He's playing like he's been in the league for 6-7 years, and he just doesn't care. That whole Texans team, they don't care. They don't care what you think of them. They're going to beat you. They don't care. They're going to make the plays, and they are impressive. So this team is a team to definitely watch for the next couple of years. I think they are building something really good. Bengals.
That was like what he's almost had 1,000 yards in the last 2 weeks.
And it was just like Stroud just has no fear. He just sits in the pocket. He'll scramble if he has to, but he will deliver a ball on a dime like nobody's business. So Texans are impressive. The Bengals, I don't know. Boyd drops the touchdown at the end of the game. That would have won it for him. I don't know if maybe it was just, lackadaisical. I don't know. They didn't look that bad, but I just think the Texans wanted it a bit more. End of the day, this was a team you should have beaten. The Bengals should have beaten the Texans. The Texans, I assumed were going to give a great fight, but the Bengals should have beat them. But at the end of the day, Texans were hungrier. Nothing you can do about it. Browns and Ravens. Wow. This was a total team effort. Watson played okay, played decent, didn't cost them the game. Played decent. I can't knock them. Their defense, created turnovers. Ravens just were sloppy and let this one slip.
It's funny that the way that started off, you thought Watson was going to cost them the game because he threw a pick six right off the bat.
Oh, yeah. Right out. He was like 1 for 9 with the pick six. I'm like, oh, Lord, this game will be over by the second quarter. Here we go.
Which I thought was funny because in the pregame show, you said Watson needs a signature moment. And it's like, well, pick six. You weren't wrong, I guess.
Yeah, that was the wrong signature moment.
Yeah.
But, it just, the Ravens let them stick around.
Yeah.
The Ravens didn't put their foot on their neck and give the Browns credit. They scored when they needed to. The Ravens now, they need to sit there, lick the wounds, and come back next week and just play strong. But this will give the Browns a little bit of juice. I'm sure Watson feels a little bit better about himself. Still not feeling great about Watson. Still needs that game where he basically carries this offense. Basically, this team seems like it's a run first offense right now. They're not living on the arm of Watson. Watson is a nice complementary piece to the run game. Maybe it'll change as the season goes on, but you can't take anything from them. Win's a win.
And in typical Sunday Scaries fashion, our kiss of death in the pregame show as we were singing up Baltimore's defense. Hey, they're back. It's starting to look like the Baltimore defense of old. And this winds up being the 30-something game.
Like, I don't want to give anybody credit anymore, man. Like, I feel bad. Like, I give somebody credit and they just shat the bed next week. So, CJ Stroud's probably going to have a horrible game next week. I'm sorry, Texans fans. Not my fault. I'm trying to be genuine. I'm just a kiss of death. And then when it comes to the Steelers, I don't know how they win games. I just don't know. They just seem sloppy half the game, dropping passes. Najee Harris scored
3 in a row.
Like, wow. Like, folks, anyone who had him on your fantasy team, congratulations. He actually contributed. But you kind of assumed that the Steelers would win this game because you just don't know what the Packers are. It's the season of love. They're trying to figure out what this kid is. If he's what?
The season of love. And
love.
they're not exactly showing a lot of love.
Hey, Packers fans should have known this is what you got. So you shouldn't be going in with any expectation at all. But they played hard. I give him credit. The kid is, he's learning on the job. There's not much you can do. There's some throws that I was like, wow, okay, those are coming along. I don't think he would have made those the first couple games of the season. Yeah. There were other ones I was like, kid, do you not remember what you're supposed to be doing? But the Steelers won. Like I said, they're 6-3. You got to give them credit. It's like they tripped into the 6-3. Like I can't really look at the Steelers this season and look at a game and be like, yeah, you knew they were going to be 6-3 by the end of week 9. They looked good. Kenny Pickett still, it's not bad, but I don't know.
He's got this funky statistic where he's like something ridiculous, like 6-1, 7-1, something odd like that in one possession games. It's like, really, Kenny Pickett?
Yeah, he's not the guy you're like, wow, 2 minutes left on the clock. I need a touchdown. Here you go, Kenny. Here's the ball. Get to it. I'm not thinking that at all. But they're 6-3. You got to respect it. But I just don't know what to think. I really don't. They boggle my mind. They're like the one team where I'm like 6-3. How did this happen?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's one reason that is not attributing to their winning games recently, and that is George Pickens, because he's been putting up doo-doo for my fantasy team the last 2 weeks.
I don't know. That's another anomaly. It's like they win despite him. And it seemed like last year he was like the reason. Like him and Pickett were just connecting, and you just thought this was going to be the next, Big Ben, Antonio Brown before he went insane match, like this was going to be it. And now it's like, all right, Pickett runs around, he drops a ball or two, makes one spectacular catch, and then they somehow win the game. It's their defense. It's got to be their defense. That's all I can put my hat on. T.J. Watt is the reason. I got to give it. That's it. Their defense keeps them in games, and they don't make enough mistakes to lose. They just figure it out.
Oh yeah, T.J. Watt's definitely got to garner some
MVP. If the pass game can be a little more consistent, this will be a team come playoff time, no one will want to play. But right now with the pass, right now it's too uneven for me right now. But 6-3 is 6-3. You enjoy it.
Yeah. So based off how everything broke down in this week with the AFC North, who actually does have the edge? Is it still Baltimore, or is someone else? Is someone else gonna surprise us?
Right now, you still have to say Baltimore. Division games, we always say you split. So, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, you got beat at home though. That's kind of tough. You kind of want that home win, but right now it's still Baltimore. Now, if Baltimore loses the next two of the next three, or start to revert back to what they were in the very beginning of the season, then there's some worry there. But right now, I believe Baltimore is still the class of that division, but they're going to have to definitely win these non-division games for sure. Because
they would definitely be worse off if Cincinnati had won in addition.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Cincinnati just needs to make sure that, when you're playing teams like the Texans, they're young, they're hungry. You gotta treat it serious, and you gotta beat these teams, because these teams are looking to beat you, because you are the benchmark for these teams. That's where they're trying to get. Over the last 3 years or so, it's been you, KC, blah blah. So they're trying to reach those those marks. So now these guys are coming after you. You got to beat these teams.
Do you think that's probably why Cincinnati tripped up here, is because they didn't take Houston seriously?
That's the only thing I can think of. You drop a clean touchdown. Maybe you just weren't in it. You were surprised. But the Texans are legit. They are a legit team. They are starting to really grasp onto that culture that D'Amico Ryans has brought in from San Fran. This team is going to be good. And if the sooner other teams realize that, I'm not going to say it's going to be easier to beat them, but you're going to know what you're getting into.
Yeah. Gonna run through some quick hitters today. We're gonna come back to the Saints game, but we won't talk about the Saints anymore, because the Vikings have won 5 games in a row now, and we thought that, okay, write them off now that Kirk's hurt and done for the year. But Josh Dobbs comes in here. He came in relief last week, led them to a wild comeback to beat Atlanta, and then this week against the Saints, it was kind of a tough game. But Josh Dobbs had a great performance and passed a touchdown, rushing touchdown, played a good game, and now I think we gotta start doing the sprinkle some respect on Josh Dobbs' name.
Now once I say this, he's gonna have the worst game of his career.
Oh yeah, 4 picks next week, guaranteed.
So get ready for it, because I watched a lot of this game, and I've never seen somebody his size elude sacks like he did today. He was unreal. I will give this man credit. This man plays like he doesn't care. People did. I think he has the thought process of, you know what, no one believes in me, so I don't care. I'm going to do what I do, and that's it. And what he's done, incredible. He had that Vikings offense moving, I think, better than Kurt. I really do. If Jay Jettas was playing today, they would have blew the doors off the Vikings. They would have blew the doors off of them, no doubt. But to give Dobbs all the credit in the world, man, that guy can move in the pocket. He can escape a sack. He can keep a play alive. So, they did kind of slow down the second half. They did let the Saints kind of creep in. You let famous Jameis there, throw some touchdowns, which, Probably could have been defended a little better. But at the end of the day, famous Jameis does what he does, and went pre LASIK surgery, threw some picks, and they just didn't have it. The Saints are not what they were, and they need to realize that and move on. They're trying to band-aid things to try to be the great Drew Brees Saints of old. They're not that anymore. They're a lot older. They need to realize that and just tear this thing down and rebuild it. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, to tie a couple things together, they said their Vikings are popping along better than with Kirk.
Yeah.
And he said, like, imagine if Jettis was here. Well, it's popping along better than with Kirk without Jettis. So
yeah, it's crazy. It's just the way he sits in the pocket. It's like Cameron Jordan probably would have had 3 or 4 sacks today, and just didn't happen because the way Dobbs moves in the pocket. Hawkinson had over 10 catches in like the first huge game. Like in the first half, like he didn't have that with Kurt, but that was also because you had Jay Jettas there, so he was always the second or third option. These young guys are getting the ball, they're getting that game experience, and I think it's only going to benefit the Vikings.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me that if the Vikings finish extremely strong this year, that Dobbs ends up being the guy next year. I think he's playing for a job. I think other teams may look at him too, but the Vikings have the inside edge. If they can sit there, get it right with him, he could be, the guy for 3 to 4 years.
And imagine if their Vikings are in a situation that they don't need to dig in the draft for a quarterback, or they don't need to go spend stupid on a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
They can use those resources to address other holes on the team, because they definitely have holes on the team. The running game is almost non-existent.
Madsen's not bad, but I think there's some the O-line's a little rough. It's not horrible, but a little rough. Your defense is a little long in the tooth in some spots. You can touch that up. So no, they've got pieces, and like you said, if you saving on a quarterback, you can sit there, draft well. You don't have to worry about spending all that money on a quarterback. So they could be in a really good spot and could, look to, retake that division next year.
Yeah. Now another game, and I got an interesting preface for this. So hear me out. The Chargers lost the Lions today. Obviously, we kind of can't be too surprised. The Lions are the better team, but at the same time, it was, and the Chargers could not really afford another loss right now. However, this one is almost comparable to that Miami loss to start the season, where they hung with it. It was back and forth shootout. So, I mean, yes, they really did not. They really did not need to lose another game. But if they had to lose this game, at least it looked like the way it did, instead of getting embarrassed or looking out of sorts, missing guys, bad calls by the head coach, yada yada yada.
No. Now, the first game of the season, Miami, it's the first game of the season. You're figuring things out. So, they played well. I'll give them that. You look at their body of work, it is so uneven, it's ridiculous. No. Now, if they had won 2 or 3 more games this year and lost this game, I'd say, okay, sure. Yeah. I'll give you that. But no, it's just they're a team that can put up points, can't stop a nosebleed. So, okay. No. Like you said, the Lions are a better team. But if you're going to put 38 points, you're going to put up 38 points on the Lions, then you're telling me with all the stars on that defense, if you stop one possession, you win this game. So what happened? What happened?
That's what I was going to say. How bad does it look that they can't stop anyone, considering how much money they've invested into this defense with Mack and Derwin James? And
you had J.C. Jackson from New England last year, who was an all-pro. You signed him to a ridiculous contract. The guy at one point didn't want to go into games anymore, had his shoes untied, told you he wasn't going. So you ship him back to New England for beans. What's going on? There's all this talent. Does this team need to be Now, is it the voice in the locker room, or do you need to look at what you have and say, you know what, we're going to implode it? You're not, because you have all that money invested in it. It's the voice in the locker room. Point blank, it's Staley. It is. Like, I can't buy it. I don't want. There's no moral victories this time of the season. There
Yeah,
aren't.
not in week 10.
No, you need to win, because right now you guys are on the outside looking in, and unless you go on a deep run through the rest of the season, you're not making the playoffs, which means the coach is losing his job.
Yeah.
He has to. There's no way you're bringing Staley back. So what are you going to do? And that also means that the man you gave all that money to in the quarterback position needs to really show out. Now, that's okay. You could put up 38 points, but sometimes he's putting up points in garbage time.
Yeah.
So Herbie needs to show out. This defense, with all the hype, with all these guys they've got on there, needs to stop a nosebleed, or your coach is walking next year. He's gone.
At this point, it'll be luck. At this point, if they keep having dumb luck losses, they'll be lucky to get to the Black Monday.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
Another team out west that has performed this year, but not lately, is the Niners. And we kind of figured, okay, they're going to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's red hot. Maybe this will be a back and forth. It'll be a close game. Not so much. Jacksonville got kicked back to David Garrard Jacksonville, or Uncle Rico.
David Garrard. Ooh. I think Jacksonville had the bye week hangover.
Yeah.
I just, I just think they didn't come ready to play, and the Niners have been hearing for weeks that they're not good anymore. This, they're not what they used to be. So what's going on? And lo and behold, they said, all right, well, here's Jacksonville. They're a playoff team, and they came in and handled business. Brock Purdy did what Brock Purdy's been doing, minus the last couple weeks. Their defense done when they're on point and healthy. So the Jags just got their teeth kicked in, like you said, and now they need to come back next week and play well, because that effort is going to one and done you in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, like they said, bye week hangover. It's almost like the tale of two reactions to the bye week, because the Niners also came off the bye week, and it looks like they buttoned up everything that they were lacking the last 3 games.
Well, they had some guys come back. I believe Debo was back.
Debo played great.
Debo was back. I believe Trent Williams was back as well. So, they were getting pieces back. Guys are getting healthy. The addition of Chase Young helps that defensive line. Nice little, rotation. And it just means that D-line is going to be coming at you all game long. So, no, the Niners handled their business, and the Jags dropped the ball. If they had won today, I really think that probably really would have set them on a good pace for the rest of the year. But
how much different would it have been if Jacksonville lost this game and it was like 10 points, 7 points, 3 points, whatever? Versus what happened.
If it was a close game and they lost by like a field goal, we'll say, then it's like, all right, you know what? We came, we prepared, we just, we'll have to. It probably would have been a play here and there, and they would have had to say, okay, this is something we've got to tighten up. You literally have to look at this whole game and say, what did we do right? Now, some teams don't look at game film like this. They just throw it away and say, all right, let's just go to next week. Maybe that's what they do. Maybe they're like, you know what? We don't even want to look at this. We got our teeth kicked in. Let's just restart. So, but no, I think it would have been better if they had, no, a loss is a loss. But sometimes I think if, you lose by 3, especially against a team like the Niners, who you're trying to measure yourself to, who could possibly be a Super Bowl, opponent for you if you make it, it's the measuring stick. And there was no reason to even pull the stick out today, because they just got mollywopped.
Throw the tape away, much like the Giants.
Unreal. Waste of an afternoon, I swear.
Yeah. Well, one more game to touch on from Sunday afternoon, of course, was the wild finish up in Seattle. Washington, been very up and down. Seattle also been very up and down. So of course it would be fitting that they would go down to the end. And there was some questionable game management decisions there. I mean, Washington blew two timeouts. Now, granted, they did wind up tying the game, but they had a cut that they could have very easily stepped on their own. You know what? Blew two timeouts and could have kicked this game away before Seattle even got the chance to go down and win it. And then Seattle, they had enough time to go down. They had plenty of time, but not plenty of time, but enough to get to field goal range, which they did. But they had a situation where the play to set up the field goal, they threw it down the middle. DK Metcalf didn't break away, but he didn't go down right away. He tried to get an extra 3-4 yards. And on top of that, everyone got up slow. Everyone's rushed the line of scrimmage, but they're not like no urgency, giddy up in their footsteps. And they almost ran out the clock a little bit.
When it comes to DK Metcalf, the guy's an all-world talent. Guy's, a physical beast, an anomaly, whatever you want to call it. I think he wants to be the center of that offense, and that's not the way that offense is predicated. It's basically, they run the ball first, and Gino distributes the ball where he seems fit. I think DK wants to be the man, and I think sometimes he gets frustrated and he tries to make plays when sometimes he just needs to, get down on the ground and get relax. It's like, all right, time's ticking, no timeouts. Let me get down. Let's line up. And yeah, that comes with coaching. Like, you guys should be going over this every week. Okay, 2-minute drill, no timeouts. What do we do? So yeah, they lucked out, and they were able to pull this game out. But you got to give Washington credit, man. Washington stuck with them. Seattle almost kind of has an air to them, kind of like New Orleans does. Like, they think they're great and they're like incredible, but it's like, you're good, but you have one good game and then you shat the bed next week. You're not consistent, but you feel you're better than you are.
Yeah.
So Washington, like I said, played well. Unfortunately, this is going to be River Ron's, last season. Let's be realistic. Sam Howell is great. That kid's got touch. That kid's got an arm. I think that offense is only going to get better. But, Seattle eked it out. But, yeah, Seattle needs to make sure that they're, better time management. And they kind of need to kind of get off the high horse and understand that you're good, but you're not great.
Yeah. Especially when you're going, your division chances look pretty good when the Niners were losing 3 in a row. But now after this game, your division hopes are looking not quite as good.
You had the chance.
Power.
Exactly. You had the chance to take the division. You really did. When the Niners were on this skid, you had the chance. But then, you shat the bed against Baltimore, and now you're sitting here going, okay, we barely got by Washington. So how good are you really?
Of course, the game kicking off just a little while ago is Jets Raiders. And
another one, flex. You ever hear of it?
You ever heard the 4-letter word flex?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this is a critical game for the Jets to win because the Raiders just fired their head coach a couple weeks ago. Their quarterback is a rookie guy that doesn't have a lot of reps under his belt. This Jets defense, they played well against the Chargers. They just made a lot of mistakes, and then the book was written. They have to win. They have to rough up Aiden O'Connell tonight and take advantage of this.
Of course they have to, because everybody knows Aaron Rodgers is coming back for Christmas.
Yeah, that's right.
For the Christmas game, that's the hot rumor. Everyone believes, that's the conspiracy theory. Aaron's coming back for the Christmas game. Woo woo.
I mean, if he keeps talking his comeback up, he might come back for Black Friday.
Oh yeah, the Amazon Black Friday game, folks. Yeah, circle that one on your calendars, folks. Good Lord.
Go buy another TV. It'll be okay.
Yeah, just go ahead. Just go live your life. Just check the score on your phone. But the Jets go as far as Zach Wilson goes. That's everyone. That defense is great and all, but when you're three and out and three and out, three and out, three and out, three and out. Oh wait a minute, a field goal, three and out, three and out. Like that's just no defense is going to be elite at that point. So yeah, the Jets need this game to continue the hope and dreams of the playoffs and Aaron coming in on his white horse and saving their season. The Raiders are dangerous because they're happy. They got rid of the tyrant, Josh McDaniel. He's gone. So now they can play music, do the Soul Train line during practice because that got cut out. Max Crosby sounded very upset when that was taken away. Now he's happy. So now this team is going to say, okay, well, you know what? No one believes in us. That's fine, but we're happy. We're going to get this to where we want it to be again. Antonio Pierce, they seem to gravitate towards him. He's a player, former player. So the Raiders are kind of dangerous right now. And if this, when you start a rookie quarterback and you have no film on him, that's the dangerous type of quarterback because you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what he's got. So, yeah, the Jets, you would think, with that defense, a la Bill Belichick in his prime, would scheme for him to fail. That's great and all, but if your offense itself isn't scoring, then after a while, they're going to figure it out.
And I would think if there was one thing that could carry the Raiders past the finish line is the fact that we've talked multiple times this year how bad the Jets' offensive line is. It was a key contributing factor to Rodgers' season ending after 4 plays. And Max Crosby is an animal this year. So
if Max Crosby,
he's going to see that offensive line and see bullseyes.
If he doesn't have at least three and a half sacks this game, I'll be highly, highly disappointed. Mad Max is a freak. He's come into his own the last couple of years. That guy is elite and needs to be mentioned with the other elite pass rushers in this league. So I don't know what the Jets are going to do about him, but the Jets have got to score. They got to put points on the board. For them, I think for the Jets to really feel good about what they need to do, they've got to put up 20-plus points in this game offensively. No pick sixes, nothing like that. Like Zach needs to have consistent, solid drives. And if you're hoping and praying that your defense gives you 14 points, it's doomed. It's a doomed recipe. Let's be real.
Yeah. Well, what's not a doomed recipe seems to be a recipe for success so far is our live every Sunday night when we recap the action, coupled with our pregame show, not only here on YouTube but on Rumble as well at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And if you missed this show, then just don't worry. We'll run it back and add in a couple extra stuff to put a pretty little bow on the weekend Monday morning. Bucks McGee, what was your favorite part about Week 10?
Oh, my favorite part of Week 10. Oh, all know.
Besides the Tampa win, we know. Besides the Tampa
win. Baker Bay. Honestly, my favorite part. Okay, taking away Baker. I'm not gonna lie. The Texans are a fun team. I'm not gonna lie. C.J. Stroud is the real deal, and for all of you who thought that he should have been the number 1 pick, you guys are smarter than all because that kid is legit. And the Texans are going to be a scary team. So watching him play was the highlight. Honorable mention, my man over there in Minnesota. I'll give him his props.
Josh Dobbs. You're back.
Josh Dobbs.
Train. Okay.
I will give the man his props. If he throws 4 picks next week, it's not my fault. but for this week, Dobbs is him. Dobbs was him.
Cheers to that. Week 10, nice little blow. A lot of some embarrassments, but some good stuff too. And we're gonna go check out this Sunday night game and see if the Jets can't be a total embarrassment.
Yep. Yay, Milf Hunter. Great.